If you're 40 with no savings, then this is your wake-up call. The future 70-year-old you will ask yourself at some point, why didn't you act sooner? 25% of people in the United States are using buy now, pay later apps to buy their groceries. Do you think it's sustainable that people are going to pay $2,000 a week to live in a house? You are a peasant among kings until you have a mortgage. Working weekends is up for grabs. You think you deserve and entitled to a car? You're not. Some people are even paying like $200 a month in pet insurance. Like, what the hell? Get that out. Wealth is actually not the Lambos and the cars. Wealth is the ability to... I'm Lloyd James Ross, seven-figure investor and entrepreneur, and I've helped thousands of business owners and professionals turn financial stress into success. If you're stuck in old money habits, overwhelmed by investing, or unsure where to start, this is for you. I'll give you the mindset and strategies to take control, grow your wealth, and achieve financial freedom. It's time to make your money work for you. If you're 40 with no savings, then this is your wake-up call. No, you're not lazy. The system is just working against you. I know it's blaming the system, but on this occasion, I think we could be right with the system. It's failing you. Right? Depending on where you live, it's failing you. If you live in the United States, it seems to be failing people there, failing people in the UK and Europe, and it's certainly failing people in Australia. How do I know that? Because I live here and I can see it day by day how it is actually affecting every single person. Not just, the middle class or the lower end, but it's also affecting people who up until recently thought they were doing pretty well. In fact, a friend of mine just said that his friend who's working for a large consulting company is now at a position where he's actually thinking about taking a second job. And so it's not just people, regular people, it's people who have got great careers who are now realizing that the cost of living is now starting to bite into their lifestyle. And just recently I saw an article that said that millions of people are working two jobs, not just to get ahead, but to actually just to survive. And why that's happening is because particularly in Australia where I live, there are more people being immigrated here than we can possibly cater for in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of jobs, in terms of real estate and land, and it's causing the price of everything to go up. A lot of inflation happening, and because we're not so effective here with our energy strategies in terms of our nuclear power or our coal power, or we're moving too green too quickly, where a lot of our power is going up, and that pushes the price of everything up, and it causes a lot of inflation. And so that's why you're finding it's $15 for a beer at the local pub. And just recently I read that in Australia, we've actually brought in the last few years, the same number of people as the entire city of Adelaide. And so if you feels like there's more competition for things, is because there is. And so here's some brutal realities that are happening, certainly in Australia, but you could possibly say in the UK and in parts of Europe as well, that most people at about 40 have less than $10,000 in savings. In fact, I read a really brutal article just the other day that 25% of people living in the United States are using buy now, pay later apps to buy their groceries. What that means is people can't afford food. And if we look at shelter, people can't afford rent or a mortgage. And so if you look at the three most important human needs there are, the first one is actually shelter. People think it's actually water. It's not. People think it's water, then food, then shelter. It's actually not. It's shelter, then water, then food. Because if you don't have shelter and you're exposed, you can die of hypothermia and cold very quickly. So shelter is more important than water. And if people can't afford shelter, and if they're using buy now, pay later apps like Klarna and Afterpay to buy groceries, we are in a lot of trouble. So if you're not working two jobs, you will be very soon, no doubt, and you're going to start to have to really tighten things up because the way the world's headed, it's going to get very tough, okay? So most people have less than 10K in savings, and some can't even afford their groceries. And the cost of living, while it's soaring, wages are also flat, because what's happening with wages, even if wages are at 3%, inflation is more like 3 to 5. And so wages in real terms aren't even increasing. But worse than that, shelter in terms of property seems to be growing at 3 to 5 to 7% a year, particularly in Australia, which means people are being priced out of the housing market, not just in mortgage repayments, but also in rentals, because we're not supplying the housing market here fast enough and we're immigrating too many people. It's very obvious what's happening. And of course, adding on top of that, the energy crisis we're all in, no wonder people are struggling, because they are. And the worst part about it is these things are compounding, and they're compounding against you. And the way to get around that is to compound faster than inflation, compound faster than real estate growth. And it's not always easy to do, quite possible, not always easy, but that's where financial education really helps you, right? Which is probably why you're watching this episode or listening to this on Spotify. So the future 70-year-old you will ask yourself at some point, why didn't you act sooner? And you may be even asking that question right now, like, why didn't I act, or how do I get out of this? And so what I wanted to do on this episode is I wanted to talk to a specific news article that happened to come across my desk about 5 or 6 days ago. And in our Telegram channel, I've got this Telegram channel, it's free. If you go to lloydstelegram.com, you can join the channel for free. And in there, I put daily money tips. I don't know if you knew that, if it's in the show notes, but it's been there for a long time. And so this particular one I did in Telegram, and it's this article here. It says, I'm working 2 jobs to pay my mortgage. And I thought to myself, like, well, I'm not doing that. So how can I help? What would I do in this situation? And I was so inspired and prompted to actually put a 4-step plan in place to show people in my Telegram community what I would actually do myself. Now, word of warning, it is brutal, but to get massive results, it requires massive action. Okay, so if you're looking to get some breathing room, if you're sinking, if you're drowning in your current situation, then you're looking for a serious escape. You're looking for an oxygen mask, and you're looking to do it ASAP, right? So I want to give you the 4-step plan that I shared in my Telegram community so that you can actually implement this now. But again, word of warning and a caveat. 1, it's not financial advice. 2, it is brutal. And if you follow it, that's up to you. I'm just explaining to you what I would personally do, okay? And it ain't pretty. But I'm not looking for pretty. I'm looking for effective. And if you want pretty, then keep doing what you're doing, but you're going down with a ship. So if you don't want to go down with the ship, listen up very closely, okay? Here's what I would do now. I'm going to pull this up here. Okay, this article first, just to frame this, okay? The article says, I'm working 2 jobs to pay my mortgage. The crippling cost of living, reducing our standard of living, okay? So I'm thinking to myself, what would I do if I was in that situation? So here's the 4 steps. Step number 1, it talks to the mortgage component. And in our country, and like many other countries, people feel like they only can live their life if they have a mortgage. It's almost like this weird rite of passage where, you grow up, you get married, you have a baby, and you get a mortgage. A death pledge. That's this whole, I've got a mortgage. It's like you aren't living. You are a peasant among kings until you have a mortgage. Then you're a king or a queen. You're a peasant. That's what I say to my friends. I'm like, I'm just a lowly peasant. I rent. And they laugh. But first thing I would do, if you're struggling, if you're working 2 jobs, think about this. You're using the most important, valuable commodity you have on earth, which is your time, and you're spending all of it to work 2 jobs you probably don't like to pay the bank some interest and some principal off a loan you took to grab a house that you probably shouldn't have bought in the first place because it's above what you should probably bought. And this is a real situation most people find themselves in, right? So here's what I'll do first. 1, I would sell the house. I would sell it. I would. Because my life is so much more important than a piece of some bricks and timber. I know it's shelter, but listen up very closely. I wouldn't sell it and do nothing. I would sell it and I would downgrade. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to reduce the amount of debt and interest you're paying. And I would either downgrade or I'd take, if there's a lot of equity in it, I might put the equity into a lower price property. Okay, so perhaps, for example, if it's $1 million property you own, I would sell it and I'd probably downgrade to a $500,000 property. That cuts your mortgage repayments in half, literally. Okay, so that's the first thing. That will alleviate a lot of pressure. Or I would downgrade my house and buy a house that had a lot lower mortgage repayments. Or I would sell the house, put the money in the bank, and just go rent for a little bit to get ahead. One of those options is effective. Okay, the first 2 are the most effective because you're actually investing your money. Okay, that's the first thing I do. That will alleviate the mortgage pressure. The second step I would do is I would actually really drop my standard of living when it came to my house. So I was on realestate.com yesterday and I was like, what can you actually buy for $199,000? I was like, what is actually out there? Now there's another article that just came out a couple of days ago, or it's more of like a snapshot. And I'll just pull it up here actually. This is kind of cool. So if you're watching on our YouTube channel, I'm going to show you the actual image so you know I'm not just making it up. But there it is there. It's from Spackus, which is a really cool property commentary on X. but they have a lot of great property data. So this one had the 10 highest median house prices in Australia. And lo and behold, my city is at the very top. Gold Coast, $1.7 million for a median house price. What the hell is going on here? There's not even any jobs here. Sydney is way down at 3. And Sydney's gone through a major cost of living crisis in the real estate market, $1.59 million. So Gold Coast is just ridiculous. It's gone way up. What's interesting about the Gold Coast property market, if you don't know where I live, is it's called a high beta market, which means when the property market in a country does really well, it does even better. But when the property market in the country does poorly, it does really bad. So in the GFC, for example, when the market went really bad, Gold Coast real estate fell 30% for some off the plan houses. So it's good. When it's good, it's really good. And when it's bad, it's really bad. And so that's why you're seeing massive swings in this market, whereas Sydney's a lot more steady, Canberra, Melbourne, a lot more steady. Anyway, so you can see that there's very high, it's like $1.7 million. What the hell is that? I was like, what is actually out there? So I jumped on realestate.com, and what I discovered was that you could buy a studio for $199,000. So if you're struggling to pay your mortgage and you sell your house or you downgrade and you were to buy a $199,000 place, you could probably maybe buy it for cash out of your equity. And just as an example, I know it's brutal. Imagine if you just slept on, there's two beds in there. So if you have 1 or 2 kids, they just sleep in one bed and you sleep on a bed, and you're living in the same little 1-bedroom studio. Sounds brutal, doesn't it? And it is brutal, but this is how a lot of families actually live in the world. Did you know that? This is actually how they live. How we live here with these big houses and everyone gets their own flipping bedroom. That is, if you go back 100 years, no one lived like that. Like most houses were maximum 3-bedroom. I mean, there are some stories of my wife's father. He used to, when he was young, he was in India. They would bathe in the sink. Like this whole standard of living is just new. So if we're going to find ourselves stuck where we can't move, we just have to compromise our standard of living for a period of time. I'm not suggesting you live in the studio forever. What I'm suggesting is take bold action, cut your mortgage expenses right back, get a 1-bedroom studio and live in there for like a year just to get ahead again. And then you can reset and recalibrate and go forward. I'm just trying to create scenarios for you to say, hey, you don't need permission to go and live and drop your standard of living right back. You don't. You can just go do it. Because here's how my mind works. My mind works in terms of happiness levels and joy, and it doesn't get joy from stress, working all my time in crappy jobs just to facilitate a repayment to the bank. That's not how I live. I've never lived like that because I'm like, what's the point? You get to 90 years of age and what do you got? Paid your mortgage off? Whoop-de-dee. Like, there's just more to life than paying a mortgage. So that's what I do, step 2. Just quickly, if you're ready to take control of your finances but feel stuck on where to start, I have a solution. My book, Money Buys Happiness, simplifies investing and wealth building with practical steps to help you achieve financial peace. Get your copy via the link in the show notes and let's get your money working for you. Now back to the episode. Step 3. I'm not saying you should do this. It's not financial advice, but what I would do personally is suspend all insurances, subscriptions, memberships, classes, etc. My gym would go, my life insurance would, I'm talking like if you're on wood, if you are in crisis, that's everything has to be on the chopping block. Okay. Some people are even paying like $200 a month in pet insurance. Like what the hell? Get that out. Okay. We're going back. We got to take a step back from our entitlement and go back to like 1930 for a minute, okay? Not forever, but for a little bit. And number 4, it's actually a 5-step program. Go me. So this is a 5 steps. I just added a bonus step. Step 4, I would sell my car, and some people have got car loans that are costing them, $600, $700, $800 a month in repayments. So if you just sold that car, listen up. You sold it, you would create $600, $700, $800 a month in extra cash flow you're not having to pay. And I'd buy a moped. Yes, I just said that, a moped. Get over it. Like what? You think you deserve and entitled to a car? You're not, right? You're stuck, remember? You're in trouble here. I'm trying to help you get out of trouble. I remember once I had this little moped. I actually got caught speeding. And back in those days, if you got caught 40 over the speed limit, you'd lose your license for 6 months. And I lost my license for 6 months. And I was on a little moped, and I got this moped for 6 months. And it was kind of fun. Not so fun in the rain, and not so fun in winter. But we're trying to get you ahead of here. So sell the car, buy a moped. Now, why? 1, way better on petrol. 2, less on insurance and no repayments, and also less on registration. So you're going to save a ton of money. Okay, less safe, I know it's less safe and it's going to, I know, but we're trying to get you ahead here. So I'm just giving you the most brutal things that I could, if I put myself in this situation, these are some of the things I would actually do. I'm not afraid of sleeping on the floor. I don't care. Like I'm more in tune with what is my life going to be like, not am I keeping up with the Joneses. I could care less. That's why I still rent a 2-bedroom unit. The other day I was at an event and I said, I can't believe our rent is this much per week. And then the guy went, you're a multimillionaire and your rent is the same as mine? He was disgusted. He was like, what? So I just don't care what people know. I just want to make sure my life is good, right? Sell the car, buy a moped, get around for a while. And by the way, you're allowed to use public transport. Now, here in Queensland where we live, it's like 50-cent fares to get on the bus and take the tram. Now, I have no dramas doing that. I lived in England for a year and I remember I took the tube there like every day. Like, I mean, maybe you don't want to ride the New York subway, but public transport, by and large, is a great way to save money for a period of time. I know it sucks. It stinks. I know, I get it. But we're just trying to pay some penance here for the decisions we made before that were like sins. And now we're trying to pay penance for the sins, okay? Just for a period of time, not forever. Sell your car, drop the repayments, and take public transport. We're making some moves here. Like, this is like, you do these big things and you're well ahead. Number 5. You ain't going to like this either. Told you. Work weekends. DoorDash, Uber Eats, jump on the bike, get the big high-vis bag and go for it, right? Start working on weekends. Go to Airtasker, start building IKEA furniture for people. I've had students before that have not only sold their properties and alleviated all the stress. It's amazing. The properties that were actually costing them money every single month. I've had them sell cars and downgrade and take public transport. And they're just so far ahead now because they went in hard. You know, they really took it on the chin properly and fast. They ripped the Band-Aid off. And also working weekends is up for grabs. I don't know if you know this, but the 5-day week is also very new. Still like maximum 100 years old. There was no, this is all new. This whole like weekend thing and, it's up for grabs. I still work a lot of weekends, because I like to stay well ahead of the curve and I know how hard it can be to get ahead and I want to stay ahead, right? So work weekends for the next 180 days, just for the next 6 months, just work the week. What's cool about working is this. It's when you're working, you're not spending any money, okay? My wife was telling me yesterday that if you deliver Uber Eats, some of the Uber Eats drivers actually eat some of the food out of their delivery. Like, that's how far ahead they're trying to get. They're trying to actually just get a free feed here and there. Anyway, so here's the objective of the 5 things I shared. The objective is 100% breathing room and recalibrate costs to start getting ahead. It's like to get that little bit of oxygen. Oh, I can breathe. That's what we're trying to do here. Then strategically figure out a more sustainable approach, okay? So that's what I wanted to impart to you because I think people think that they've got to go down with the ship. I'm just going to succumb to this. I'm just going to slowly get my legs sawn off and whine about it for the next 6 years. You don't have to be that person. You don't have to work those 2 jobs. You can actually just downgrade your lifestyle. Do it. I mean, there'll be some level of liberation that comes with it. It'll be like minimalization, like minimalism. My mum recently bought a place in northern New South Wales. She lives. Beautiful place. She just bought a house there for cash. And she's a great financial manager and learn a lot from her. And she recently bought a house there. And before she bought that house, she actually said to me, I'm thinking about buying a block of land for $450,000. I was like, that's cool. And putting a $150,000 container on it. Container home. You can buy houses from AliExpress and Alibaba and Amazon for like less than $100,000. And she was actually going to buy the land for $450K and put the place on. So it was going to cost her $600K and hook it all up, ready to go. Now, that's the type of out-of-box thinking that's going to have to happen over the next few years because what is happening in our country and other countries is not sustainable. You think it's sustainable people have got to use Klarna to buy their groceries? You think it's sustainable that people are going to pay $2,000 a week to live in a house? It's not sustainable. It's not going to continue. And if it is, it's going to compromise their life and they're going to get to the end of their life, they're going to have a lot of regrets. So I think one of the best things you can do is manage your lifestyle down and do a lot more to increase your income and just make smarter decisions. There's nothing wrong with having a smaller house. There's nothing wrong with working weekends. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. If it's going to get you ahead and make you feel better, more secure, safer, and wealthier. Wealth is actually not the Lambos and the cars. Wealth is the ability to underspend your income for long periods of time, invest in good assets, and be patient. That's wealth. And joy and happiness and living life, spending time with your family and having good memories, that's wealth. I don't know what game people are playing, but the size of your house and your mortgage is not a good measure of how wealthy you are. Let me tell you that, right? So I hope this episode's been valuable for you. It's been fun to do it because it's like a real life example of what it can look like, and no one's going to escape it. So if you've enjoyed the episode, share it with a friend. I know it's extreme, but being broke at 65 is extreme too. And I don't want you to be broke at 65. So it's the psychology that can get in the way, right? Confident, get rid of the comfort and the ego if we want to get ahead with our money. All right. So if you've enjoyed the episode and you want to share it with a friend, click the share button, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a 5-star review if you can. But I really hope this is shifting your identity to start thinking like a wealth builder and an investor and not like a consumer. All right. Wealthy people focus on buying freedom, not stuff. Thanks for listening to Money Grows on Trees. If you enjoyed the episode, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and subscribe to us on YouTube so you never miss an episode. And if you're serious about building wealth, make sure to check out the links in the show notes and follow me on all social media platforms at Lloyd James Ross for more. See you in the next episode.